It was this brown cake, and it had a little roll of toilet paper sitting on top of it, and it said, "Holy crap, you're old."
At 50, holy crap, he's old.
I mean, it's a big milestone, so yeah, celebrate somehow.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, this is the biggest class I've had today, percentage-wise. 3 out of 5 is 60%. First class, 4 out of 12 was 33 and a third. And I had 6 out of 14 to 17. Dr. Sneed was talking this morning how people didn't show up to his class, he dropped them. But a lot of people are not showing up to his class, they're still active. And I hope to watching the presentations on Moodle and so on. But he believes in dropping them so they won't get a F on a report. I don't believe in dropping students. I believe they should drop themselves. They know when they're quitting, they know when they're not coming back, and that's my philosophy. So either philosophy works for whoever. Anyhow, Seth is not here. I guess I've got his registration form on my desk. Every day I'm here, our secretary's not here to put it in the computer, Michelle. So, Lamont, did you have a good Thanksgiving?
I did.
Good. Turkey? Alexander, you have turkey?
Yeah. No, we didn't.
You didn't have turkey?
No.
What'd you have?
Ham.
Ham.
And Dr. Pepper barbecue sauce.
Oh. Now, a lot of my West Virginia students, they have deer on Thanksgiving. You don't like deer, Lamont? I've eaten it before, but not on Thanksgiving. Are deer as plentiful up here as they're in my way? I have 8 or 9 in my yard about every day. I see one killed beside the road about every day. Are they that plentiful up here too? Maybe some of them need to be killed out. Okay, here's the schedule, folks. Thursday will be the last day of class. It's come up on us quick. We missed a day for water. Luckily, we haven't missed a snow day. Now, it's come up on us fast, and we've got a lot to finish up. Anyhow, you know, your exam's open book. It'll be 50 questions, 1 point apiece. Thursday, I've got to give you some kind of problem that's the other 50 points. You take it home. Now, Jessica, what did you say the exam was? Is it Thursday at 10 or Tuesday at 10?
Thursday, I think.
I don't know if it's Tuesday or Thursday
I'm
at 10.
pretty sure it's Thursday.
Huh?
I said I'm pretty sure it's Thursday. Tuesday, Thursday class, 12:30 is 10 a.m. on Thursday.
Okay, so you'll have a week to do that take-home problem, Thursday to Thursday, and it will be forms. We've not used enough forms this semester, but that's okay. Now, all of you that are going to do VITA, not going to be many of us. Come in, say, you make 80%. That is 4 out of 5. Robert's downstairs work studying. He could have come and made 100% today. Says I will get your registration form in every day I've been here. The secretary hadn't been here, so I'll be here tomorrow. She should be, and I'll get it put in a computer.
All right.
We'll get you registered. I think I gave all of you a book, didn't I, on VITA. Over the Christmas vacation, if you want to be looking at that pre-test, see what you can work on it. But we'll work in class. We'll find answers in class, and when you do it on a computer, it's about the same. but we will have to pass IRS's test. I have to too, and Mr. Taylor will have to too. He's going to try to help with it this year, and I want him to pass the test and also do taxes. I usually just supervise, but I want him to do people's taxes on needing. So we will pick him up as one of our tax preparers. All right. Now, as far as the exam goes, what chapters? And we've looked at some problems, and if I can find my chapter list here. We have done itemized deductions, chapter 8. Now, this test was supposed to be on chapter 9 and 10. I believe it was 7, wasn't it? Chapter 7, business losses.
I think so.
All right, now we went through chapter 7, business expense and deferred comp, which was your IRAs and so on. And there's still a lot of different opinions on that. Itemized deductions was a good chapter. That's not on your exam. Now, losses and bad debts, we've not looked at any problems on that chapter yet. But we've got to look at some depreciation, chapter 10. So your exam will be chapter 7, 9, and 10. I'll probably take 15 questions from chapter 7, 15 from chapter 9, and I'll take 20 questions from chapter 10. All right? And chapter 10, if you answer those 20 questions and got 50 on your homework problem, that's 70 without worrying about the 2 other chapters. Okay, I want to briefly look at some PowerPoint. Oh boy, I brought up the corporations. I'm good at that. We know what depreciation is. We know the old methods of straight line, declining balance. We know the old methods of units of production. Units of production is used still with depletion. Amortization, we have to look at a given number of years. Now we know the units of production with depletion is one method. There are 2. IRS gives us percentages. And then we know, and I've showed you a little bit, that double declining balance is what works our tables now. We know depreciation is on tangible, intangible property. Well, intangible, we know that's amortization. All right, personal property. Now, real estate, we do not take depreciation on. Capitalization, that means depreciation, amortization, depletion. Conversion of personal use to business use, the fair market value on that day. Types of systems. Don't worry about prior to 1981. Don't worry about 81 to 86. Now, 81 to 86, how many years has it been since 1986? How many? 86, 96, 06, 16, 19. That system's been around. It don't seem like it to me, but it's been around 33 years. And that's what we're still using. And that's the only thing we're going to use is MACRS. Modified Accelerated Cost Recovery System. Do you have any idea what accelerated means? Declining balance is accelerated. And have you had depreciation yet in intermediate?
That's kind of what we're doing right now.
Are you doing sum of the year digit?
What's it called?
Sum of the year digit.
Depreciation.
I'm not sure.
It's in our, what is it? Cengage.
It's a useless method. It's not used anywhere at any time. But our county books seem to put it in there. We had a county person that interviewed for a job up here the same year that Mr. Imel interviewed for a job. And I was on that committee, and this other person didn't know that some of your digit depreciation wasn't used anymore. They were just going by their book. All right? But Mr. Imel gave a good presentation on whatever he gave it on. And that helped him. He's here. Now he's the dean. Now we know that on tangible property, you've not had this in accounting. Mid-quarter, mid-month, half-year, convention. Now, the only thing you had in accounting principle and intermediate was part year, 9 months, 12 months, 7 months, whatever. But we have mid-month now. We have mid-year. But we have mid-month on real property, which is your renting a home and so on table. All right. Select the method. Of course, that's usually the tables. Select the recovery period. And it's pretty much that's it. Now we'll look at those tables again in a minute. Okay, or we'll look at them right now. Find me depreciation on a $50,000 piece of equipment. Life is 5 years. And it has a $5,000 scrap value. Can you look in chapter 10 or the appendix? Is it appendix C? And find me depreciation first year on 50,000 mid-year. It's 5 year MACRS. It's in your chapter or it's in your appendix, either or both.
See, 5 years. Which table are we looking for?
I still want to look at some cash losses.
Mid-quarter?
No, just mid-year convention. In your textbook, it's on page 10-6. Mid-year, I mean half-year. In your text, it's on page 10-6. All right, what is your depreciation? You're making me get older. How much? Somebody give me a number. Lamont?
I
Jessica?
think we're all just waiting for our books to load.
Oh, you do have those e-books, don't you? You got an e-book too? An e-book. The appendix C on the table, I don't know how your pages are, but it's on page 10-6.
Appendix C.
Or appendix C. Should be table 1. Table A, however they got them. Just find some tables.
I'm trying to find which table it is, and it doesn't say which table it is.
Okay, let me see where it is. So, can you click on this? That'd be fine right there.
This one's fine.
Table 1. Table 1 in your appendix, or page 6 in your chapter.
Page 6 in our chapter, I didn't see
What?
it. Page 6 in the chapter, I didn't see it.
Then it should be.
Six.
Is that your chapter?
Yeah.
That's it. Have you got page 6?
Yes.
Now, how did you get page 6?
I guess we're just using different formats or something.
Maybe.
I'm on a phone, so
Yeah.
that's.
Well, that shouldn't be any better. That should be worse. Did you find it, everything?
Yeah.
Okay, what's my answer?
5-year for the first year. The depreciation rate is 20%.
So what's my answer?
20% of the 45.
No.
Percent of 50.
Yeah.
Oh, because we're not doing straight line.
So
Right.
10,000.
All right. First lesson is, Jessica just learned it. We do not bother with scrap value under the new laws. That was for units of production, sum of the year digit, and straight line under the old methods. So first off, scrap is out. Now where do I get this 5 years from? All right, then I would ask you to look at page 5 of your textbook. Page 5 of your textbook. Now, what is 5-year property there on page 5? Property with a class life of more than 4 years but less than 10. This category is property such as automobiles, light and heavy duty trucks, computers, and research and development. Now, let's say you buy a $30,000 pickup truck for your business. You can depreciate it out 100% in 5 years. That don't mean you have to sell it or trade it. But it has zero book value after 5 years. After 6, really. Because if you look at that table on page 6, 5-year property, what is your depreciation in year 6? Depreciation year 6.
5.76%.
Right, because since we did it part year, it carries over into the 6th year.
This is chapter 10.
It's independent.
All right. Now, how do I know where to get class life? Okay, I want to depreciate a computer. I'll look at what IRS gives us, you know, and I can use 5-year property. I can use a 5-year property for a computer, right? Well, this computer, you think this will be obsolete in 4 more years? It's a year old. Probably will, won't it? Now, if it's not listed in what you see here, what do you find out? Then you look up class life, IRS. You'd have to go to irs.gov or somewhere and look up class life. And if it's between 4 and 10 years, you can use the 5-year tables. If it's between 4 years or less, you can use the 3-year table. But if it's a horse, if it's a racehorse over 12 years old, he's not probably doing a whole lot of racing, is he? You can depreciate him over 3 years. Now, if it's a racehorse that's younger, 5 years. Okay, so that's where we get class life from IRS. we get these tables. They've been around for 33 years from IRS. Depreciation is easier than it used to be. But right here, taxpayers may elect to deduct what? Right here, how much they're able to deduct immediately. 100 and what? How much is that? A million what? That's for equipment, but not for real estate. Now, if you had $2 million investment that year, you could take $1,020,000 straight up off your depreciation. That leaves you $980,000 to depreciate over 5, 7, or 3 years, whatever. But be careful. Don't use up all your depreciation. You may need to spread it out, and that's what these tables do. Now, if I were showing you a table, well, limitations starts to phase out if qualified property exceeds a little over 2.5 million. Real property recovery periods, residential 27.5. Now you've got to go to your tables in Appendix C. What table in Appendix? It is Appendix C, isn't it? Well, let's see if it's in your book. I don't see any part of it in the textbook, so we're going to have to go to the appendix.
Which table is it?
Is it Appendix C?
Which table are we looking for?
The 27.5 year table, which is real estate.
Yep, Macker's table 7.
Table 7.
It's what this first
Table 7. Now here, property placed in service after 1986. 27.5 year. It uses mid-month. It uses straight line. Don't tell me how they're calculating straight line. First off, somebody divide 27.5 into 100. How much?
3.63 repeating.
3.63. Well, if you look at the table depreciation rate, this white straight line, look at your rate in month 1, how much it would be from year 2 to 9. It would vary 36.37, 36, 36, wouldn't it? All the way down to year 27. Now 27.5, that's 28 years. And when you get to these tables, you add a year, so you're going to depreciate over 29 years. Now if you're looking at table 7, and you bought real estate, now remember, if you bought a home and land to depreciate $150,000, what part of that $150,000 can you not depreciate? Land. So you got to get appraised value on your land. If it were 50, you'd take it out and you depreciate the house that you're renting. All right. What is today? December what?
3rd of December.
12/3. Find me depreciation on that 100,000. I'm going to rent that house today. How much is it?
Just for 1 year. Just for the first year.
Yeah.
Okay, it's 0.152. 0.152.
Yeah, 0.152. Well, what is 0.152 times 100,000? Is that $1,520? All right, but in the 10th year, what is my depreciation on this same house?
3,636.
In the 10th year, what is it?
3.636.
I multiplies that 3,646 or 3,636.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Is it not easy to do depreciation? And do you see where the straight line comes in at? It's pretty much 27 and a half years divided into 100,000, rounded in there somewhere for mid-month. Mid-month, what throws it off? All right. So real estate is easy. Go to the tables. The other depreciation is easy. Go to the tables. All right. Now, here is, I want you to go to whatever table you want to. Before we get to luxury automobiles, I want you to find the depreciation on $75,000 worth of equipment bought in November 2019. Find me depreciation on $75,000 worth of equipment that we put in our business on November the 10th of 1st, 19. What table are you going to go to?
What was it one more time?
Do we even have a table?
How many years are we depreciating it for?
Well, that's a good question. Let's say it's 5-year property. You have to know that, Jessica. That's a good question. Tell me what table you are going to.
Your front TV is not on.
What?
Your front TV isn't on.
Oh. I don't know why it does that. Has it not been on all period?
No.
What you crazy thing? Why'd you tell me? I just saw that was on.
Is there a specific amount of time we're doing this for?
Depreciating a luxury automobile then?
No, I'm just on that page. Forget about the automobile. Give me 75,000, 5 years. I am put it in business 11/1/19. That's all I put in my business that year.
Are we doing mid-month? How many years?
5 years. What table would I go to? I want you to find table 5 and tell me why I went to table 5.
Because personal property placed in service after 12/31/86.
That's all the tables. Now tell me why I picked table 5. Keep reading, Jessica.
Oh, property placed in service in fourth quarter.
Right. Is 11/1/19 the fourth quarter?
Yeah.
That's why I went to this table. So what will be my depreciation for year 1?
5%.
What percent?
It's 5%.
5%. 5% of 75,000. Now, do you know now what table to look for if it's mid-quarter? What if I put all of my property into my business in January of 19? What quarter would I go to? Quarter 1, wouldn't I? What is quarter 1?
That's table
Table
2.
2.
Which one?
Table 2.
Is it table 2? Yeah, first quarter. Now, when you get up to that second quarter, let's say you put everything in your business in June, I would just go with half year profit. But now look at your rates. If you put it all in the first quarter, what rate do you get for that first year, 5-year property?
35%.
35%, that's better than 20, isn't it? But in the fourth quarter, 5% was worse than 20, wasn't it? Okay, I wanted you to see your quarters. Now, folks, really, that's all there is to depreciation, what we just touched up on. You'll be able to handle it, I promise you. But the luxury automobile thing, all cost is recovered, but over a longer period of time. Steps in calculating, find the depreciation using MACRS, maybe it's 20%, compare the limitation amounts, and then take the depreciation deduction. All right, now here we would have to look at a table, but we'd have to look at a table in the chapter. And that table in the chapter $179 expenses on page 6. Luxury automobiles limitation is on page somewhere. I don't know if it's table 3 in your book. There should have been luxury automobiles.
I think that's in the back.
Is there a table in the back?
Yeah.
What table is it?
That is table 6.
All right, table 6. All right, let's say we had a $75,000 SUV, and we're going to depreciate it mid-year, half-year convention, 5-year profit. What is 20% of 75,000? That'd be your depreciation. What's 20% of 75,000? How much? Is it 15,000?
Yes.
What does the table for luxury automobiles allow us? That's a Cadillac Escalade that we're using on Coal Mine Road. What's the limitation?
10,000.
So which one would you take, the 10 or the 15? Okay, is that easy to learn? Okay, read the chapter. Now, look at amortization. We know we amortize goodwill. We know we amortize patents. We know we can amortize copyrights. And we know we can amortize trademarks. You learn that in principles and intermediate. But here we can amortize software. Software, Jessica, is not ladies' pajamas. Okay? All right, how long does a software program usually last?
A couple of years.
What Office suite are we on right now? Now in Office, don't we have Word, Excel, and a DBase maybe on some of them? What are we in, 2016?
Yeah.
They'll have to update that soon, won't they? So we know software goes out fast. I guess they update. And your cell phones, golly. Your cell phones have a lot of software in them, don't they? More than a lot of computers used to have.
We're on iOS 13 right now, I think. For iPhones.
iOS is the operating system. And then my Pixel up here as Android operating system. Okay? I like the Apple iPhone better. It's just, I traded that for a good deal, and then over with a lawnmower, I had a Samsung, I had to get a pencil, that's the price. So, anyway, the Samsung and the Pixel both were Android operated. But they're cheaper than Apple. They'll do the same thing. So forth. So, anyhow. So amortization. Now, Goodwill, we want to go down and buy us a corner market, and we have the groceries, the gasoline, the land, and the business appraised for $200,000, but the owner wants $220,000, and we pay it. Then we paid $20,000 for Goodwill, because he already has established customers. He's in a good location. He took the initial risk or whatever. But that's Goodwill. What do we do with it? We know that research and experimental, startup, and there's pollution control facilities. All right. What kind of companies? I guess some of these companies put off a lot of smoke pollution. They have to have pollution controls. Now look at this. This is Pat. Amortization over how many years? Starting with the month of acquisition. Now, these intangibles, we are going to buy them, not created. Now, if we had a copyright, we'll create music or a song or a poem or a book, right? And maybe even a patent. Now, if we sell our patent, we don't recognize the laws. But some are still being used. Boy, I wish these telemarketers would quit getting a hold of customer list. Do you all get a lot of telemarketers? And boy, if you've ever bought an automobile, they worry to death about getting an extended warranty. Y'all ever get a call from the State Police Association? What do you think about that one, Jessica?
It's not them.
What?
It's not them. Because my uncle, he's a cop down in Tazewell, and he got called by them, and they're like, this is the Virginia Police Department, like, asking for donations, and he just laughed. No, it is not.
Well, I figured their retirement is okay.
Yeah.
I believe in supporting the police, but don't fall for those gimmick calls. License and permits. Granted by the government. Do y'all know what this right here means? Covenant not to compete. You know what that means? Alexander, take a wild guess what that means. Covenant not to compete.
The promise not to
Any idea? All right. What if Cole Motors over here sold out? They sold out to Jessica. She would want a covenant for Cole Motors not to compete to start another Cole Motors in the area for 5 years. My son got to court, took to court this year over that. He was with a chiropractor down in Chattanooga, and that chiropractor started to reduce his pay all the time. My son gave his required notice, but he had signed a contract, covenant not to compete, for 2 years, within a 10-mile distance. So my son signed that with two partners. Those partners split, and he was still working for one. So my son was legal before 2 years was up, and only 8 miles away he started a new business. He bought one, and he got took to court. It cost him $10,000, but it got threw out because the fellow he was working for had split with his partner. It was not the original business my son signed a contract with. That got him out of it. And 10 miles, some of them try to use as the crow flies. But its driving distance is 10 miles, not as the crow flies. That might be 4 miles away. Research and experimental. If you do this, you use how many months? It's clear in your accounting book. Use 5 years or 60 months. Computer software. Develop software. Some of it you can expense, but you probably, if it's good for 3 to 5 years, you want to capitalize it. Again, it's 60 months. Now, if you buy software, how many months? If you buy it, 36 months, 3 years. But the hardware is how many years? Can you read that? 5. Leased or licensed software deductible in the year you pay for it. If you lease it, you take off the expense every year. So, the two main ingredients here. If you develop it, you can depreciate, amortize it over how many months? 60. If you purchase it, 3 years. Software is being developed at such a fast pace. So Alexander, you got an Xbox. These new games, is that just a software? Is some kind of new game, is that just software?
Yes.
So every game that's out there is software, isn't it? Not just Windows, or not just Word 2016, or Office Suite, or whatever.
Only part of it that's debatably hardware is the disc it's printed on, but even then.
And what do you mean, hardware you printed on?
I was saying the only bit of the video games that is debatably hardware would be the disc that they're printed on.
Huh.
But even then, you can download them online. So.
Yeah, okay. But now, when you download a piece of software, like a new game, you've got lifetime interest in it, don't you? But if that game were used in a business, let's say it was in an arcade, which is probably not likely, but if it's used in a business, its life is just about 3 years. It's going to be replaced with different games. Now, as I can tell when I see my grandsons, graphics on those things are pretty realistic, aren't they?
Yeah, they've improved big time.
What?
I said, yeah, they've improved big time.
Oh yeah. Now, you can buy just a complete graphics TV for computer games, which is a higher resolution, right? Okay. Lamont, do you play any of those violent games on Xbox or computer or PlayStation?
Yep.
Do you, Alexander? You got some of those shoot 'em up and see how many you can kill? You got some of those?
Yeah, some of those video games that just make you.
Would that ever provoke you or warp your mind enough that you would get out there in public and try it in a mall?
I think it's a stress reliever.
Yeah, it could be a stress reliever. But some of these people get out and shoot up high schools and elementaries. I wonder if they were influenced by video games. I don't know. What do you think, Say?
I don't think that's very likely. I think it's just more limits.
It's a scapegoat kind of thing.
Yeah, they're just
Correlation.
warped. They're just warped to begin with, even if they never saw a computer game.
Man, to think video games create violence. Must have been a peaceful world before games were created in the 60s, huh?
Yeah, with all those world wars and such a peaceful time.
Well, some TV reporters think games create violence, but I don't. I don't see it. I think a person's just warped to start with. Paranoid schizophrenics. I've got a sister that's paranoid schizophrenic that lives down in Tennessee somewhere. I believe she could go out and shoot up a bunch of people because her mind works that way.
Now, can it trigger it? Very likely, but you already have to be,
Predisposed, yes.
yeah,
Like how we live, guns are a big part of our culture.
yeah.
Well, that's software. Now depletion. Okay, so amortization can be 15 years, but most of it's 60 months, which is 5 years. So we don't have a list to go by. We go by what IRS gives us. Now, depletion. Intangible drill and development. This is one I want you to look at. Now, we're going to have to look at this form come Thursday, 4562. We've looked at it once. Here it is, but golly, I don't know if I can blow it up. Let's see. I want you to see that 179 expense. Now remember, this is 18 form. Max about taking 18 was $1 million. I just looked at that with you. I believe it's went up to what, $1,025,000? We don't worry about it. It's on the form. The limit's over $1 million. And this company took off the $1 million. But now they had $1,150,000. So that's going to leave them $150,000 to depreciate. Some of it's 5 years, some of it's 7 years, half-year convention, MACRS, depreciation. Now, of course, we've got old depreciation, part 3, new depreciation, plus 179. So this company's going to get $1 million, plus 132, plus 16, plus 10. So you can do about what you want to nowadays with depreciation. Now, bonus depreciation, I don't even want to discuss it. That 179 is all you need. We'll be looking at that form again. All right, now I'm going to have to go to the book with you on depletion. The PowerPoint did not show a couple of things. Amortization starts on page 19. Same thing I showed you on the PowerPoint. I do want you to look at page 1019. I want you to look at example 31. Let me give you a minute to try to find page 1019. All right, here you have assets. I guess I want you to look at page 1019. You got goodwill. You got license, permits, and covenant not to compete. All the intangible assets above qualify as section 197 intangible assets. They can be amortized over 15 years. Now, if it was in the month of acquisition, month 11, it'd be 2/12 of that year. and then your year 16 would be 10/12s. But look at example 31. On June the 1st, McKee Corporation receives a patent for a process it created. They incurred $100,000 legal costs to get that patent, which has a useful life of 17 years. The patent is not a Section 197 because you create it. It is internally created. Instead, they can depreciate it under Section 167. Over 17 years, use the straight line method for the current year. They can divide 100,000 by 17 years, and if it was in if it was in June, it'd be 7/12. So if you make the item and get the patent, it can be over the life. If not, it can be limited to 15 years. And remember, some things are limited to 5 years. But you'll have an open book on your test. Now, that's amortization. I want you to get to depletion on page 22. 10-22. Now for Thursday, I want you to try to work some even problems in chapter 10. Should have already worked some even problems in chapter 9. We went over a lot of even problems in chapter 7. We went over a few in chapter 9. Alright, we're pushing it, we'll get it done. Okay. Here, unlike accounting, you have two methods. In accounting, you have one method. You have, on page 22, you have cost depletion method. Alright? I don't know what you are looking at with your e-books. Depletion method is what you should be looking at. This old cost depletion method is something you've always had. Units of production, depreciation, it's calculated the same way. Alright? You bought coal rights in Mercer County for $10 million. Every landowner, now you have all the coal rights. You figure you can take out 1 million tons. Alright? If you pay $10 million for all the coal rights in Mercer County, and you can take out 1 million tons, what is your depletion? 1 million tons divided into $10,000, that's what? $10 a ton? 100? What did I say? $10 million? $1 million? How many tons?
10 to 15,000.
Oh, I got myself confused.
2,000 is 10.
What?
1 million and 10,000 tons. It's
1 million tons, right?
Yeah.
$10 million.
$10
Is that
million.
$10 a ton?
$1 million.
Into 10 million. No, $1 million. 1 million tons into $10 million.
Oh, into $10 million.
Is that $10 a ton?
That should,
Yeah.
Okay. I may have said it funny, folks. At the end of Mandrell County, Alexandra, I know I got him confused, Jessica, and he said he'd take blame for one. I told him I'd take blame for one. I got it mixed up. Okay. Now, under this method, I feel like you should know it. The adjusted base of the asset is divided by the estimated number of units. It's your old units of production method. And I can't write on here, but it's just cost over units. Forget about scrap. But now, over here though, what